Alyssa Thomas will be getting fined for doing this.
What happens when a star player dominates on the court, but refuses to face the music afterward? Alyssa Thomas had one of the most impressive games of her season, 32 points, 15 boards, nearly unstoppable. But instead of walking off as a hero, she vanished. No post-game words, no accountability, just silence. Now, the WNBA isn't just watching, they're preparing to respond. And the timing couldn't be more poetic. Because what started as a hard-fought matchup turned into a public reckoning. One that's bigger than stats, bigger than rivalries, and one that's forcing everyone to ask, what kind of professional skips the spotlight when the lights get uncomfortable? It was supposed to be just another regular season battle. Phoenix Mercury versus Indiana Fever, two teams grinding through the heat of the schedule. But what unfolded at Gainbridge Fieldhouse wasn't just competitive, it was personal, and it left a trail of controversy no one saw coming.
Be a celebration right now in the WNBA dump, but for some reason, and this should come as a surprise to no one, for some reason, WNBA players, they're just not in a joyous mood. They're not in the mood to express their appreciation, their gratitude to the people who gave them something worth celebrating. Instead of showing their appreciation, these bitter, entitled, insufferable players, they continue to engage in a war with their own.
Alyssa Thomas was on fire. She dropped a season-high 32 points, pulled down 15 rebounds, and handed out 7 assists, all while shooting over 63% from the floor. Statistically, she was untouchable. It was the kind of performance that should have dominated the headlines the next morning. But it didn't, because while Thomas was breaking records on the court, her team was breaking down. The Mercury couldn't hold the lead. They fell apart late, giving Indiana the momentum, the win, and the last word. The moment that final buzzer echoed through the arena, the focus shifted, not to Thomas's numbers, but to her sudden disappearance. The chaos wasn't over. In fact, it was just getting started. And what Thomas did next would turn one incredible night of basketball into a viral storm of backlash.
Where basically you can see Alyssa Thomas going back and forth with a fan, man. I mean, she just, I don't know if she just can't ignore anybody that's just coming at her, you know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure it's not anything racist or anything like that. I just think they get under her skin. And they just get under her skin. And maybe since her first incident, whatever the case may be, she just didn't like it. So after that, she just can't stand any other female fan base.
After lighting up the court with one of her best performances of the year, Alyssa Thomas didn't head to the press table. She didn't speak to reporters. She didn't even appear. She vanished. According to the WNBA's 2025 media access policy, players like Thomas, especially the team's leading scorer, are required to speak post-game. No exceptions, no shortcuts. 10 minutes after the final buzzer, they're expected to show up for in-person or Zoom interviews. It's not a suggestion, it's a rule. But while Phoenix's head coach and other players made themselves available, Thomas slipped away, completely ignoring the obligation. No statement, no explanation, just silence. The reaction was instant. Fans noticed, journalists noticed, and social media? It exploded. Reddit threads ignited. X timelines flooded. People weren't just confused, they were angry. Not because she played poorly, but because she played great, and still ran from the mic. It wasn't just a violation of the rules. It felt like a slap in the face. To the league, to the fans, and to the professionalism the WNBA has worked so hard to build. And that's when the narrative began to twist. From star of the night to coward under pressure. But the internet wasn't done with her just yet. The internet didn't wait for the league to respond. It responded for them. Within hours, fans were calling out Alyssa Thomas across every platform. One Reddit post summed it up perfectly. She had the guts to trash talk fans all game, but none to face the press? Brutal. But that was just the beginning. X, formerly Twitter, lit up with posts mocking her vanishing act. Memes, threads, side-by-side comparisons with other players who'd faced the music after far worse performances. The message was loud and clear. Thomas could dish it out, but she couldn't take it. And people weren't just mad about the skipped interview, they were furious because she had spent the game chirping at fans, jawing back and forth like she was in complete control.
25 WNBA media access policy states no later than 10 minutes following the game, each head coach and 2 players, leading scorer and key contributor per team, be available in separate press conference room for in-person Zoom meetings. AT and the Mercury will likely be fined because they chose to break the rule. It's looking like Alyssa Thomas and the Phoenix Mercury are going to be fined because she just said nah. She just said nah.
When her team was up, she was vocal, confrontational, unbothered. But the moment the scoreboard flipped and the mic came out, she disappeared. That's what turned this from a post-game no-show into a public reckoning. It wasn't just a violation of policy, it was a betrayal of respect. For the league, for the fans, for the game. And fans aren't forgetting, they're keeping receipts. If you like this video, please subscribe this channel. Every subscriber means a lot to me, as this channel is new, so I need your support. You can't hide when the cameras are rolling, and unfortunately for Alyssa Thomas, they captured everything. Midway through the first quarter, with the Mercury up 25-13, Thomas was visibly fired up. The scoreboard was in her favor, and so was her attitude. She was seen exchanging words with fans near the sideline, animated, confrontational, and clearly enjoying the upper hand. That's when the receipts started piling up. Clips began circulating online showing Thomas mid-game trash-talking Fever fans. She wasn't backing down. In fact, she looked completely unfazed by the crowd, even feeding off the boos. She was bold when the lead was hers. But when the tables turned, gone. Not a word, not a face in the press room. The same fans she mocked, she avoided. The same spotlight she performed under, she ducked. And that contrast, loud when she's winning, silent when she's not, is what turned frustration into full-blown disgust from the public. Fans weren't angry because she played with emotion. They were angry because she couldn't carry that same fire into the locker room interview. The visual evidence turned her silence into something worse, cowardice in the eyes of many. And once that footage spread, there was no spinning the story.
We seen Alyssa Thomas jawing at it with fans, kind of, making a complete fool of herself, and now she's finna be getting fined because she refused to.
Because the next time Alyssa Thomas faces a mic, it won't just be about basketball. It'll be about everything she ran from. The WNBA isn't vague about this kind of thing. The rules are crystal clear. Under the league's 2025 media access policy, each team is required to send 2 players, including the leading scorer, along with the head coach to speak with the media within 10 minutes of the game ending. This isn't a guideline, it's mandatory. No loopholes, no opt-outs based on emotions. That night, Mercury coach Nate Tibbetts showed up. Kalia Copper showed up. But Alyssa Thomas, the team's best performer, the veteran leader, was nowhere in sight. And that silence wasn't just noticed, it was documented. This type of violation doesn't fly under the radar. The league has fined players and entire organizations before for media non-compliance. And they don't play favorites when the rule book is broken, especially when the spotlight is this bright. But what makes this worse is that Thomas wasn't injured, wasn't ejected, and had everything to gain by showing up. She just delivered a dominant individual performance. She could have used the mic to reframe the loss, shout out her teammates, or stand strong in the face of adversity. Instead, she walked away. And now, the league's left with no choice but to respond. Because if they don't, the message is clear. Star players can ghost the media when emotions run high, and there's no price to pay. But the WNBA knows the stakes. With a growing fan base, rising media coverage, and a surge in public interest, consistency matters more than ever. And Thomas just tested that consistency in front of everyone. This wasn't an isolated slip-up. For those who followed Alyssa Thomas closely, this moment felt familiar. She's no stranger to heated confrontations, no stranger to tension with fans, and definitely no stranger to saying one thing publicly, then doing the opposite when things get uncomfortable. Take last year during the playoffs. Thomas made headlines for criticizing Fever fans after they jeered her during post-game warm-ups. She called out the hostility. She urged the league to support its players better. She even talked about unity, saying, "As a league, we have to stick together." Fast forward to now, and that same player who preached professionalism and togetherness that just left her coach and teammates hanging in front of the press. It's not just contradictory, it's hypocritical. You can't campaign for unity when things go your way, then ghost your obligations when they don't. And fans aren't letting that inconsistency slide. They're calling it out, loudly, because this isn't about one emotional night, it's about a pattern, a repeated unwillingness to own the spotlight when it's less than flattering. And for someone often viewed as a veteran voice in the locker room, that's not just a personal branding issue, it's a leadership crisis. And the comparisons to other players, they're only growing louder. In any sport, especially the WNBA, leadership isn't just about points or stats, it's about presence, accountability, how you handle the pressure when the cameras aren't flattering and the crowd's not on your side. And that's where Alyssa Thomas's image is taking the hardest hit. She's long been considered a cornerstone of the league, a tough, all-business player who leads by example. If you find this video insightful, please hit like for this video and subscribe this channel, but disappearing when it mattered most, that sends a different message. One that says, "I'm here when I'm winning, but don't count on me when I lose." Contrast that with someone like Caitlin Clark, a rookie, under relentless national scrutiny, constantly hounded by questions. Yet win or lose, she shows up, she answers, she absorbs the criticism. And for better or worse, she faces the noise. That's what fans are now comparing. Because Thomas isn't a rookie, she's a vet, a leader. And whether she likes it or not, her silence doesn't just affect her. It affects her team, her coach, and the league trying to grow under the spotlight. And it's left many wondering, is Alyssa Thomas truly the leader the WNBA thought she was? Or has the pressure finally revealed a version of her the cameras usually miss? Alyssa Thomas lit up the scoreboard, but it's her silence that's echoing louder than any stat line. What started as an on-court showcase quickly spiraled into a defining off-court moment, one that's forced fans, players, and the league to ask hard questions. About accountability, about leadership, and about what really matters when the final buzzer sounds. This wasn't just a missed media appearance. It was a public fracture in how stars handle adversity. It exposed the uncomfortable gap between performance and responsibility. And it's a gap the WNBA can't afford to ignore. Fines may come, statements will be made, but the real fallout is happening in real time, in fan forums, comment sections, and locker rooms across the league. Because this moment wasn't just about Alyssa Thomas. It was about every athlete who shows up in victory but disappears in defeat. And while the cameras may have moved on, the questions haven't, because now the spotlight isn't on what Thomas did during the game, it's on what she refused to do after it. And that kind of spotlight, it doesn't fade quietly.